So things got a little bit awkward last night. I was watching Team USA face off against the San Francisco Giants, and we all know that they're a World Series favorite going into 2023. Obviously, I'm joking, but they look pretty good as they beat Team USA yesterday, so we'll talk about that later on, as well as the rest of the WBC. Shohei Ohtani, he was doing Shohei Ohtani things. He showed up for Team Japan. He was spectacular. And also, we're going to talk about Aaron Judge sticking up for Anthony Volpe, Oswald Peraza, and all of the young players in baseball. Now, before we talk about Anthony Volpe, I do want to talk about a few other young shortstop prospects in the game of baseball. Mason Wynn, we've talked about this kid a lot over the last year, ever since Justin Turner called him out in the Futures game. Mason Wynn, another great defensive play. He is still raking in the batter's box. I just want to ask you guys, whether you're a Cardinals fan or a baseball fan, should this kid be playing on the opening day squad? I feel like he has earned it, and honestly, he's probably got the talent to perform pretty well. Another shortstop prospect, Jackson Merrill of the San Diego Padres. I don't know exactly where this kid is going to fit in the future, considering Manny Machado, he just got the bag. Xander Bogaerts, the same thing. Fernando Tatis Jr., he could play second base if right field doesn't work out. Where exactly is Jackson Merrill supposed to fit? Maybe he's a trade piece. So if you're a Padres fan, let me know what you guys should do with the number 19th ranked prospect in all of baseball. You still have a top 20 prospect after trading away guys like James Wood and what's the other guy's name? Robert Hassel. You're still pretty good. Again, we'll talk about Anthony Volpe in just a second, but I gotta show this. Cody Bellinger, he smoked his first home run as a member of the Chicago Cubs, and the Cubs were facing off against the Rangers. So it was kind of crazy to see Corey Seager and Cody Bellinger on the same field in 2023, but they're no longer part of the same team, the LA Dodgers, which is just kind of a Twilight Zone moment that was not supposed to happen. The prophecy was broken. But anyways, I really feel like Cody Bellinger's stance and swing is a lot like what it used to be when he first came up. I believe he won Rookie of the Year and then MVP. His stance is very similar to those years as opposed to what we've seen from 2020 to 2022. And now hopefully going into 2023, the Cubs, they can kind of sprinkle some magic. The shift is gone. I just want to see Cody Bellinger go 2020 again while hitting 260. Is that too much to ask for? Now, if we go back to the 2020 draft, there was one kid I had my eye on. His name is Austin Hendrick. He was described to have the best power bat of anyone in that draft, and he was selected by the Reds. He finally had his first home run of spring. It was lefty-lefty, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this right now. The Reds are building a super squad if we're talking about young, talented players. I mean, if we're talking about the best hitters so far in spring training, there's guys like Freddie Freeman, Jordan Walker of the Cardinals, and a young player, Christian Encarnacion Strand. He has been a monster. Also, Matt McLain. So between Austin Hendrick, who we just showed, Matt McLain, Christian Encarnacion Strand, Noelvi Marte, they also have Edwin Arroyo. The Reds could be really good here soon if Nick Lodolo is the ace that we expect him to be. The Reds are pretty good at finding pitching talent. They just have to keep developing that bullpen. Now, we brought up Jordan Walker of the Cardinals. Let's talk about Brendan Donovan, who looks like Babe Ruth this spring training. He has a brand new batting stance. He is trying to prioritize power over contact. He has 3 home runs and 9 RBIs. I mean, he quite literally looks like the next Juan Soto. Is he going to be that? Probably not, but he is an on-base god, and the fact that he's adding power to his game, that's kind of scary. Now, one other young player, Michael Massey, he had a grand slam yesterday, so he now matches Brendan Donovan in production. 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, but Michael Massey is hitting 350. A lot of terrible teams across spring training have some pretty exciting prospects. The Reds have a plethora of them, and also Michael Massey, I know he had some life for the Royals in 2022 when he made his debut, but he's showing even more value in spring training now that the power is kind of coming along with it. Real quick, I want to show off this web gem from Oswaldo Cabrera. This guy can play platinum defense no matter where you put him. He was one of the best defenders in baseball in right field, left field. He's showing that he can play center field. I'm thinking that maybe they should have relied on Oswaldo Cabrera playing center field, and they should have kept Jordan Montgomery, because before we talk about Aaron Judge and his comments, we have some breaking news. Joining Frankie Montas on the IL, Carlos Rodon, their big fish aside from Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo from this past offseason. Carlos Rodon, he is down with a forearm strain, and if we go back to last year when he did have the same kind of injury, he was horrific when he tried to pitch through it. So hopefully he can come back early April and be Carlos Rodon from the second half of last year. But even though I love Harrison Bader, I feel like the Yankees' biggest issue right now is starting rotation depth, because Montas, he said out loud that he was not healthy coming over to the Yankees. Now Rodon is down, so they're going to have to really rely on Domingo Germán, Clark Schmidt, and a few other young guys. But like I said in the intro, Aaron Judge is speaking out. I don't know if he's more comfortable in the captain role and he kind of feels like he has power in the franchise once and for all, because he's always been humble, but now I feel like he wants that championship. And Anthony Volpe, we can all agree, he is their best chance at being the most athletic and talented team in that division. Also, you factor in Oswald Peraza, Oswaldo Cabrera, they can get younger and more talented, in my opinion, regardless of age. And Aaron Judge, he came out and said that should be the criteria. Can you help the Yankees win ball games? Are you the best player at that said position? He's basically saying, I don't care if you're 11 years old or 65 years old. If you are the best talent at your position, you should be on the roster helping the New York Yankees. And that is something I agree with. I love that take. Two final things I want to break down before we get into the World Baseball Classic highlights. You have Johan Duran of the Twins showing off his 103-mile-per-hour heater. I want you all to let me know in the comments, who do you think is the nastiest relief pitcher in baseball? Is it Clase? Is it Diaz? Is it Hader? Is it Mr. Duran? And also Kenley Jansen, he used to be in that conversation, but going into 2023, he actually was the slowest paced pitcher in all of baseball, and that is why he is not pitching in the World Baseball Classic. If they make it to the United States side of the tournament, I feel like Kenley is going to participate, but right now he is working on his pace because he was embarrassed by it. He made his debut a few days ago and he actually looked pretty solid. All right, let's talk about this USA game. I mean, there's not really much to talk about. The Giants, they put the hurting. I mean, not really. It was 5-1, but still kind of embarrassing. Even though Goldie went yard, yeah, there was not much to talk about from that game. Jose Altuve, he faced off against his own team. He singles on the first pitch that he saw. Salvi, he went yard. Miguel Cabrera had a few RBIs. Just a fun experience for fans, and also those uniforms are pretty clean. Robinson Cano, don't you know, he had a 3-run home run or a 2-run home run against the Braves. I think that was the final big league team that he played for. And also Nelson Cruz, the general manager for Team DR, he had a home run as well. Moving on to the games that actually mattered. So this one is going to count towards the records of the World Baseball Classic. Netherlands, they're now 2-0 after a W over Panama. Profar and Xander Bogaerts, they both had solo home runs. By the way, Jurickson Profar, he is still a free agent, so maybe this WBC is going to really drive up his stock. Shohei Ohtani, he went out there and struck out 5. He was aided by Lars Nootbaar's defense. They're breaking out that pepper celebration and it is sweeping the nation in Japan. Ohtani, he smacked a 2-run double. He got on base 4 times yesterday. If I botch these names, please correct me in the comments. Shosei Togo, he looked nasty. He struck out 7 over 3 innings. Atsuki Yuasa, he also looked unhittable. He struck out the side in the 8th inning in Japan. They won easily. They're definitely going to be a problem. They win 8-1. Australia, this was a crazy game versus Korea. So Yuji Yang, he had a 3-run laser beam home run to take the lead, but then Australia, they answered back. Robbie Glenending and Robbie Perkins, they both had 3-run home runs to put Australia back in front. Korea, they made things interesting, but the Aussies, they win 8-7. Matt Harvey, he started this one for Italy. He tossed 3 shutout innings, didn't strike out anyone, so the strikeout stuff is definitely not a strong suit of his anymore. But Moncada, later on in the game for Cuba, he saved the game from getting out of hand, and Cuba, they tied it in the 9th inning. So this one needed extras where Team Italy, they immediately blitzed Team Cuba. Nicky Lopez, he plays for the Royals. He knocked in both David Fletcher and David Fletcher's brother to make it a 6-3 ball game. So Italy, they win their first game of the tournament, and that does it for me, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, if you're going to any spring training games or regular season games, use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek. Follow me on all my socials. It's just at Fuzzyfromyt on Instagram and TikTok, also Twitter. I appreciate you guys watching and enjoy the rest of the highlights.
Jeremiah Jackson last time up with a shot to center field, hit well. How about it, Jeremiah Jackson? Walk it off!
You could take time to report. He had that option as that pitch is fisted into shallow center field. Oh, what a catch by Nico. Well, double off JY. Nico Horner. That's why he might be a Gold Glover at second.
This one driven out to right field on Duhar, back to the wall and gone. Austin Hayes hits an opposite field home run.
Back up the middle, perfectly positioned. A great play by Arauz, but Jonathan Arauz was stationed perfectly out behind the second base bag.